Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! So, for context, I'm 50, male, 5'9", and rapidly growing. Some mistake me for a foreigner, and I'm also taller than average and very fluent in English. Others also think I'm an employee, but I explained that I don't work here and that I'm a minor just getting stuff for mom. Most understand. Most. The story. So this happened a few weeks back. I can remember most of the events, but some details I forgot, so forgive me. I'm picking out stuff in a supermarket in the mall, wearing basketball shoes, pants, polo shirt, and wearing a black jacket. I am wearing headphones listening to something from Spotify on my phone, picking out stuff to bring to my mom. Now the supermarket where I'm picking stuff is quite popular for foreigners. Located in a small town, most of us know each other. Anyways, I was picking out some stuff from the shelf and I feel a tap on my shoulder. Thinking it's my mom, I turn around and I take my headphones. But oh no, it's not my mom. Karen is in front of me with a typical look. She's wearing jogging shoes, jogging pants, a sweater, a cap facing backwards, and now the following conversation goes something like this.
Hey, do you know where the coffee aisle is?
Yes, it's about 2 aisles to your right.
No, it isn't. I looked there earlier and there was no coffee.
Oh, well, okay, I'll just call one of the employees to bring down some coffee from the boxes.
No, I won't wait for that long. You do it.
Me, confused. Pardon?
You bring down the coffee.
Again, me, confused on a request. Ma'am, I'm not an employee here. I'm not even 18.
Don't make excuses. I know you work here. I don't pay for these products to give a paycheck to employees like you.
Side note, employees are wearing black shoes, black pants, green shirt, white apron, and green cap. I say, ma'am, I'm not an employee here. As I said, I'm only 15, and I'd like to finish getting stuff for my mom to pay.
No, you're going to help me, or I will get your manager.
At this point, I have had enough. So I put on my headphones and start walking away. Karen decides to yank my headphones off my head, damaging the left lobe to the point it's attached to the headphone via the wires.
What the heck, lady? Where is your manager? I want to speak with him.
Me pissed off. How many times do I have to say this? I am not an employee here. I don't even have the nameplate nor the uniform.
Get your manager so I can get you fired.
I told you many times, I don't work here. Are you blind, deaf, or both? Karen then proceeds to slap me and starts pulling me by my jacket sleeve. I then get free and I start screaming, berating her to the point she leaves. And I said to myself, finally, it's over. Or so I thought. About 30 minutes later, some lady shows up again, this time with some I presume is a manager. Karen goes,
There, that's him. That's the employee that assaulted me. I want him fired right this instant.
The manager says, Ma'am, what? He isn't an employee. He's just a regular here. Karen then proceeds to start shouting at the manager, screaming racism at me at every opportunity. And as a crowd started to form, my mom, who has been trying to find me, finally sees a commotion. Mom asks in confusion, What happened? What happened to you? I then tell her everything that happened. Karen finally is seeing she isn't getting anything out of the manager, walks over to me and grabs me by my shirt's collar, and she starts pulling me towards the manager. Here, I've truly had enough. I pulled her hand and started beating her head onto one of the shelves out of pure anger. I'm autistic, so you can see how much this played out. After landing a gut punch, my mom pulls me away and Karen starts screaming, saying to get the police, her lawyer, and a local judge. Now some people in the crowd attempt to defend Karen's action with the manager defending me. After 10 to 15 minutes, the police arrive and take the statement of me, the manager, Karen, my mom, the bystanders as well, and check the security footage showing I was dragged against my own will, and that she did in fact assault me first. My mom shows my ID, proving I'm 15 years of age, and the police then arrest her. One of the officers asks if I want to press charges, and I happily agree. She is charged with child battery, child endangerment, property damage, assault, and resisting arrest. She kicked an officer in the leg. Crazy Karens. So, background. I work in a high school but have been out and not allowed to return to my room since mid-March. Also, I look young with my mask on. Without it, you can easily tell I'm in my 30s. So we finally received our designated times to empty out our classrooms for the summer. Unfortunately, I am just a paraprofessional. Not a full teacher, so I don't even know if I'll even have a job in the fall with the school. I decide to go and fully empty my desk of all the personal belongings and extra snacks that I always keep in there. Nothing that went bad, but stuff I keep on hand in case of low blood sugar. It is important to note we have been authorized for casual wear, so many of us showed up in simple shorts and t-shirts. Most of my co-workers recognized me with a mask. However, the school recently hired a new principal and police officer the week prior to all of this fun. As I finish, I begin to walk out of my room through the halls. I manage to get to a section of hallway near my parked car when the officer comes around the corner and tells me to freeze. He says, "The school is closed. No students allowed. Put the bag on the ground and step back with your hands in the air. If you thought you could sneak in and steal some stuff, you are mistaken." I tell him, I'm employed with the school. As I offered to show my ID, the new principal comes around the corner and joins into this mess. The principal says to the officer, "I told you I saw kids stealing. Arrest them now while I notify the other officers." At this point, the officer has my ID in hand and looks at me. I go to remove my mask and he drops his hand towards his holster and shouts at me not to move. Rather than risk getting tased, I call down the hall to a group of teachers who know me well enough. The officer tells them to stay back, but one of the teachers happens to be the JROTC teacher who many officers know well as he regularly helps teach defense classes in the community. Should also mention he retired quite high in the military and everyone respects him even more for it. He says, "Calm down, officer. He has been here for a year and a half." And he isn't that young. He proceeds to walk over and signal for me to remove my mask. Once the officer sees my beard pop into view and matches it to my ID, he begins to apologize profusely while getting upset at the principal, who has now turned red in embarrassment. I told him it was okay considering the circumstances and that I would not be upset or report him. Edit. Sorry for not putting this in as it slipped my mind. I'm 6'8". Our tallest officers are 6 foot even. None of our officers are allowed to carry firearms anymore. Only tasers, batons, and mace. This is also in one of the most dangerous schools in our state. So this happened just last week. Even so, my memory is kinda bad, so this isn't verbatim. I'm 21 and my dad owns and runs several car washes in and near the city I live in. And I regularly help him and my mom out with stuff. Mostly with picking up / sweeping trash, dumping garbage, spraying down dirty self-serve bays and so on. I don't know a lot about fixing things, but they are currently learning to fix changers and stuff and plan on teaching me once they get the hang of it. The main thing that I help them with though is checking a few locations after I'm done with my regular job. My current job is with a security company and I work nights until midnight most days and until 4 a.m. one day of the week. So it's usually 30 or 40 minutes from the time I get off work, check the car washes and get home. This particular night though, I stayed I think over an hour and a half. One night after work, I was doing the usual rounds, nothing unusual or suspicious going on, and I'm supposed to be extra cautious lately. Mostly because over the past few months, car washes in and around the city have been getting broken into. My dad assumes it's because everyone is staying home so they can't rob houses anymore. I get to the last location, I check on the way home and do the usual routine. Drive through the automatic brush bay to make sure no one is hiding behind / messing with the machine parts. Apparently it happened before and it scared my dad so much. Apparently the guy was just trying to get out of the rain. I can see through the touch-free bay no problem, so no need to go through there. Drive past the vacuum islands and make sure all the timer screens in the self-serve bays are on and not busted in. There is no way to get to any money from the 1x2-inch screen, but hey, people are dumb. As I drove through the brush bay, I saw a car packed in next to one of the vac islands, but I didn't hear the vacuum running, and all the car doors were shut. That was immediately an albeit small red flag, along with the fact that there wasn't any license plate. Another car was by one of the other islands, also inside the car, but with the car running and headlights on. I kept going and checked the screens, and all was good there. I decided to go and park up by the office, and from there I could see the running car from my side view mirror. But shortly after, they sat in a self-serve bay for a minute or so before leaving. I can access the cameras from my phone, so I pulled up the single screen view to watch the first car, and after a minute or two of no activity, I called my dad to let him know what was going on. He told me to go back to the vacuum and talk to the guy. I did so, backing into the space next to him on the opposite side of the island and put it back into drive. Something my dad told me to do in case I need to book it. The guy was in the front seat but twisted around halfway to rummage around in the back. I pulled my window down and did a quiet honk, the kind to try and get someone's attention, but he did not turn around even after a couple more times. I waited for a bit and he finally turned around. I always try to be polite and give the benefit of the doubt. So I gave a small smile, waved and motioned for him to roll down his window. He shouted, "What?" with his window still up. So I motioned again. He scoffed at me and shook his head. During this, I was giving my dad a play-by-play to let him know what was happening, as well as trying to keep him from falling back asleep. Eventually, he rolled down his window. "Hello. I noticed that you've been sitting here for a while, so I was just wondering if everything was alright." Him, through the entire conversation, he has an attitude and is passive-aggressive, leaning more and more towards straight-up aggressive. "I'm fine, what do you want?" My dad on speaker, but my phone isn't loud enough for the guy to hear him. Ask him if he's gonna vacuum. So I ask, do you plan on vacuuming tonight, or are you more just decluttering? Him sarcastically, "Yeah, I'm at a car wash by the vacuums cause I'm not gonna vacuum. It ain't your business." Me still trying to be polite. "Okay, I'm just trying to." My dad says, "Tell him he needs to vacuum or leave." He's dealt with enough nonsense that he just gets straight to it. I, unfortunately, am not as confident as him, especially when it's dark out. I am by myself, and all I have to defend myself is pepper spray. By this point, the guy had already put his window back up and got out to move stuff in the back seat. I could now see another person in the passenger seat, presumably his partner. She was trying to say something, but I couldn't make out what she was saying between the window and my dad talking to me. I don't remember what about this point. The guy kept making comments about how long I'd been hanging around for. And by this point, I was extremely uncomfortable and anxious, and all I could really say to him was something about not wanting to drive and use my phone at the same time. My dad finally told me I can go back to the other side of the building, and from there he told me to call the cops to get a no trespass on both of them. I'm already not a fan of police, but I've had to call them before for a similar, though much less anxiety-provoking situation, and there is no way my dad would let me not call them down there. There is not much dialogue from this point on, and I couldn't see what exactly was happening, since I was trying to stay out of the way once the cops got there. But after a while, they put the guy in the back of one of the cars. An officer came over to tell me that they had a warrant for his arrest. The guy's car got towed, and shortly before I left, a police van arrived, I assumed to transport the guy. I don't know why they wouldn't just use one of the 3 cop cars that was there though. To be honest, I don't know a lot about police stuff. I was super anxious throughout the whole ordeal, but it did feel kind of nice knowing that, because he wouldn't just be polite, it led to him getting arrested. Years ago, I had a daily conference call that was always attended by the same 4 people. Myself, my boss Mike, and our counterparts from Los Angeles, Carl and Joe. One day, we're discussing some paperwork when we hear a long screeching noise. Mike asks, "What was that?" Joe answers, "Sorry, I think something's came loose in my chair. It's been making a noise all day." I say, "Sounded like a fart, to be honest. You need to lay off the taco trucks, man." Laughter was had and the call moved on. But every day Joe's chair was making noises, and they were getting louder and more frequent. After a week, Carl is annoyed enough to tell Joe that he doesn't want to hear that annoying chair anymore. Do something about it. And the squeaks disappear. Fantastic. A month passes, then one day we're discussing some numbers Carl doesn't have, and he decides to walk over to Joe's office to grab a copy. Carl, muffled, "What's on your head?" Joe answers, "It is a headset I bought last month, so you don't have to listen to my chair make noise." Carl, still muffled, that's not what I meant. I meant you need to call facilities and get it fixed or order a new one." Joe tells him, "But I like my chair." "Are you still gonna like your chair when you get written up by IT for plugging unapproved headsets into their telephones? Well, order a new chair, and I don't want to see you wearing that again." The whole time the conversation was going on, Mike and I were individually muted, laughing our butts off. Carl returns to his office, and Joe apparently unplugs his headset, because we can all hear the chair again, and the call closes normally. The squeak continued for another week. Knowing the facilities weren't usually that slow, I asked about it. Joe says, "Oh yeah, they delivered it 2 days ago. It's still in a box though, so they didn't have time to put it together." Carl says, "Oh thank God, I'm gonna call and hurry them along. But as soon as a new chair is together, I want the old one gone from the office. You get me?" "Yes sir." 2 days later the squeak was back, and the very first time we heard it, Carl went off. "I told you to throw that chair away." Joe tells him, "No, you said you wanted it gone from the office." "It's gone from the office. I'm working from home today." Mike and I could not mute in time, and we laughed our butts off at Carl's expense. Mike says, "He's right. He's right, you know." Carl says, "Well, then use that headset you bought. I can't really see it if you're at home, can I?" And Joe says, "Yes, sir." And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.